Alright fellas, Toy Story was a hit! We've cemented ourselves as one of the greats of the industry. Now, what do we have for ideas for our next blockbuster? Oh, how about a movie about cars? Cars that race. Nah. Who'd want to watch a movie about cars going around in circles for 2 hours? What else? Come on boys, what else? How about planes? A crop duster enters a plane race that goes all around the world. That's a race I'd want to watch. You know what, Jim? You're absolutely right. That's our next big hit. We're gonna make a movie about planes! Alright fellas, it took 6 years, $90 million, and a divorce, but we finally finished the Planes movie. All that's left is starting the ad campaign for it tomorrow. Nothing could possibly ruin this for us. Hey, so what was that about a Cars movie? Planes is a movie. Planes is a movie based in the Cars universe. Why? I gave this movie a rewatch very recently since I vaguely remember watching it as a kid and wanted to know if it held up. I went into this movie not expecting much, but I realized that when I first watched this movie, I may have just trauma blocked most of this movie because holy shit. This movie is less about a race and more like a Greek tragedy. This movie left me speechless. This movie contains actual war footage, stolen valor, multiple jokes about castration. It left me asking questions I didn't know I could ask. It left me asking questions I didn't want to ask. If Skipper's a war vet, does that mean the USA dropped a nuke? If so, which plane dropped it? Is Dusty taking a shit every time he's crop dusting? If the ships are also living beings, who gave birth to them? Speaking of, how do they give birth in this world? If we're going by robots rules, who's making the vehicles? Speaking of, how do they have sex? This movie starts off with our protagonist, whose name is spelled Strut Jetstream, but is actually pronounced Dusty Crophopper. From the opening moments, we see that Dusty doesn't want to take a shit on crops every day for a living, which I get it. I would hate myself too if I was born that way. Or built, I don't know. We are then introduced to our fully original and not based on anything ensemble cast. We got Timo Mater, She and Sally, Wish.com Doc Hudson, and what's funnier is that they didn't even try to hide it with Dusty. They literally painted him orange. I don't know what I was saying, Lightning McQueen isn't even orange. We see Dusty getting ready for the qualifiers for the Wings Around the Globe race. We see Dusty train once, blow his head gasket, and think, yup, I'm ready to qualify for this prestigious race. Also, how is such a prestigious race just having open qualifiers? Anyways, Dusty tries to get Doc Hutt's Skipper to help him with racing technique, which doesn't make sense since Skipper isn't a retired racer, he's a war vet. Skipper basically says El Bozo and tells Dusty to kick rocks. Dusty ends up racing in the qualifiers anyways and ends up surprising absolutely no one when he doesn't end up qualifying. But since there is still an hour and 15 minutes left in this runtime, we know that Dusty does end up qualifying because one of the other racers decided to cheat by using nitro meth. This movie's a Fast and Furious. There's also a scene where Dusty and Chug just watch a compilation of plane crashes in which they literally see planes die. And their reaction are just like, as soon as word gets around that Dusty is qualified for the race, Dottie and Skipper suddenly want to help Dusty race now. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Skipper, the plane that dropped the nuke, ends up training Dusty, and this montage really shows you how ass Dusty is at flying. How is he even close to qualifying? We also see Dusty start taking the plane equivalent of steroids by upping his torque by having Dottie tighten a screw in his engine. Also, if it was that easy, why wasn't that the first thing that he did? So because Dusty is now roided up, he's able to actually gain speed and really race like a true racer. But there's still one thing holding him back. His balls. Dusty makes his way to New York in a montage set to a song that vaguely resembles Empire State of Mind.
In New York!
as they could not get the rights to this song since they did not have the Pixar budget. Being a plane has got to be so convenient. He just gets to fly to New York without any airport security, any packing, nothing. He just flies there. Also, do they need passports? If he does, where does he keep it? I don't see a bag or anything. Bro just raw dogged a flight to New York. And another question, why is he coming from the coast? He's flying from Minnesota, unless Dusty is pulling a Hannah Montana and only flies west to east. Dusty, being the plane that he is, does not know call signs for a major airport and gets smashed under a 787. Putting an unfortunate end to our beloved plane's life. Dusty ends up befriending the Nacho Libre of this universe, also known as El Chupacabra, who is immediately shown as being horny for this French-Canadian plane. How did they make a plane look female? This is the character design we need, folks. I look at this plane and I can tell that it's a girl plane. El Chupacabra tried his hardest to get the attention of Rochelle, but he ends up failing. He will soon regret this decision. We are then introduced to the villain of this movie, Rip Slinger. Guys, he's literally green. The only thing he does different is that he doesn't say but he might as well do that too at this point. Rip Slinger is classist. He hates Dusty because he's a crop duster and not a seasoned race veteran like Rip Slinger, who apparently has won this race 3 times in a row. So like, if you aren't born in this exact shape of plane, are you just not a good racer? Like, what if you were born as a B-250 bomber? Do you just not get the chance to try racing? What if you were born as a Wright brothers plane? How does any of this work? Anyways, this is Dusty's first time out of the crop field, and he ends up falling in love with the first ethnic girl he sees. Good job, man. When she is first seen, she says, "Whoa," which really caught me off guard, since I didn't expect to hear a language I could understand, even if it was only just one word. Then me and my friend ended up laughing about this for a solid 10 minutes. Dusty ends up showing absolute negative riz and straight up talks about Ishani's ass. And just keep staring at it, bro. Keep it subtle. Also, her propeller is on her ass. I just wanted to point that out. Her propeller is on her ass, guys. Her butt. Fast forward to the race. Dusty comes last. Shock. Also, Dusty is afraid of heights. What a wild hand life has given to this man. Dusty ends up almost freezing himself to death before making it to Iceland. The second leg of this race takes them to Germany. During this race, Bulldog, a very British man, basically pees himself and is unable to see, which causes him to nosedive into the ground. And Dusty sees this and talks Bulldog through this and ends up saving Bulldog. So what you're saying is if that Dusty was not in this race, they would have just let Bulldog die? Why is there so much death in this movie? If I had a nickel for every death in this movie, I'd have a concerning amount of nickels considering this is a kids movie. But saving Bulldog causes Dusty to end up dead last again. And Bulldog also says, "Damn bruh, you should have let me die." It's also in Germany where we are introduced to the best character in this movie, Franz. I really can't put into words how much my friend loves this guy, so I'll let his reaction take stage.
My name is Franz, and
I'm Franz. I'm Franz. I'm from Germany. I love you so much. I bring you plane.
I bring you plane. This is so racist. This is so racist.
And the German car that goes Franz isn't racist.
without the pipes and tank and whatnot weighing you down?
Without your balls, I can give you balls clipping.
Right.
I know best doctor in Germany. He will give you clipping on your ball and you will go faster. Yeah.
The third leg of this the third leg of this race takes our beloved planes to India, where they have to fly under 1,000 feet at all times. No problem for our plane with vertigo. It's in India where Ishani finally talks to Dusty again and shows up out of nowhere. And I want to know, why did the director decide to put so much focus on her front wheel? What are they trying to imply? Is this like the leg out of a slit of a dress? Why is she moving that wheel like that? I don't like this. Mom, I'm scared. There's a woman here. Ishani takes him on a tour of the Taj Mahal, where she basically tells Dusty that on the next leg of the race, you need to just have a one-on-one with a train, and Dusty listens. Since he is very horny, in the next leg of the race, Dusty ends up having that 1v1 with the train, and I end up with another nickel. He ends up being the first to reach Nepal, and every car is the same here. Like, every single one. Is this racist? I feel like this is racist. I'm gonna go with racist on this one. And we then see Ishani with a green colored propeller. That bitch Ripslinger got her in his pocket. Something to note throughout all of this is that Skipper has been giving tips throughout every leg of the race and would give his tips in the form of stories from his time in the military. For no reason, I just wanted to let you know, I'm sure this will not come in to play in like a few scenes, anything like that. The next leg of this race takes us to China, which is now making me realize that this is the same kind of concept from Cars 2. Not the spy part of the movie, but the Grand Prix around the world aspect. I feel like this is kind of making up for the absolute travesty that Cars 2 was. Anyways, they kind of gloss over the race to China, and we end up seeing Dusty Crop Hopper Auto-Tune, which isn't even an auto-tune, it's just a random song that doesn't even have Dusty on it or auto-tune, and we see Ripslinger break an iPad out of anger over this. And I have a problem with this scene specifically. Do you know how a touchscreen works? Your body is conductive, as in electricity can flow through it. What fingers do you see on this guy? How are they even supposed to interact with the iPad? Also, they set it on the ground because they can't hold it, which is why he's able to run over it and break it. Why would they have technology in this shape? Why isn't the iPad sentient? Where is Car Steve Jobs? I gotta calm down. It's in China, where El Chupacabra tries in a desperate attempt to rizz up the huzz and sing a song to Rochelle, which falls flat. But Dusty ends up helping by sourcing a mariachi band in China somehow. The mariachi riz ends up working and they end up together. But we see this is a bit too much for El Chupacabra to handle, as we see on the starting line of the next leg of the race that El Chupacabra is getting borderline sexually assaulted. The riz worked too well for Mr. El Chupacabra, and he is already regretting his decision. On the other hand, Ripslinger, jealous that no one made an auto-tune video about him, ends up plotting to murder Dusty. Bro, like, you know someone is rage baited when they start hitting you, and it's the same concept here. It's not Dusty's fault, your ass, bro. Halfway through the race, on top of the ocean, outside of radio signals, Ripslinger, or his cronies, ends up breaking Dusty's antennas, which causes him to lose where he is going, because as soon as the antenna's broken, this guy decides to just spin in the sky and go the opposite direction. Sure. He ends up going a couple 100 miles in the wrong direction and is running out of fuel until democracy itself shows up out of the sky and takes him to an aircraft carrier. And this aircraft carrier is also alive. So who gave birth to this one? What if this dude wanted to be a racing boat? Is he just born to be a runway on the ocean? It's on this aircraft carrier where Dusty realizes that Skipper has stolen Valor. The only reason I'm bringing this part up is to just show you how much death there is in this scene. Like, an uncomfortable amount. Also, if Skipper only has one mission, how is he a squad leader? I thought there was like a minimum amount of missions you have to do to be a squad leader or something. Maybe the boomers had it easy. Dusty tries to make it to Mexico from the carrier, but even in the face of a typhoon and certain death, he will not climb above the clouds because, of course. He then makes it safely to Mexico. Nothing went wrong, I swear. After I end up with another nickel, Dusty ends up in Mexico with basically every bone in his body broken. And Ripslinger got no reprimands for this. In fact, it's Dusty who ends up being penalized in the next race by having a severe time penalty. Because Dusty needs a lot of parts in order to get into working order for the next race, all the other racers besides Ripslinger donate parts to Dusty, and in turn create Frankenstein's monster in plane form. Ishani ends up giving her ass to Dusty as a new propeller, which I know for a fact Dusty was sniffing 24/7 as soon as it got attached. Well, do planes even have noses? During the race back to New York, Ripslinger wants to add another felony to his list of crimes and ends up trying to literally murder Dusty himself this time by shoving his face into the dirt. Before Skipper joins in and helps Dusty by literally murdering things 1 and 2. Why is there so much death in this movie? In the end, it looks like Ripslinger is going to win the race, but because movie, Dusty is able to go underneath him and secure the victory. And all's well that ends well. What did I just watch? I think I know why Pixar pawned this idea off. If you thought Cars 2 made the universe unrealistic, I present you this movie. Because, like, literally not a single thing makes sense. The Cars movie drove so that planes could crash. What are my thoughts on this movie? This movie isn't like batshit insane, like I probably made it out to be. But like, what? This is a Disney movie, and no one talks about it. But this movie, was it direct to DVD? So the animation in this movie leaves. Okay, I'm gonna say this in the nicest way. It leaves a lot to be desired. It looks like they just didn't have motion blur on for some reason, and some of the animations are literally point-to-point keyframes. Like, yes, they are expressive. The eyes are very expressive at points, just like every other Cars movie. But it really feels like some moments got the budget and the other moments didn't get anything. And it looks this way because this movie was originally going to be a direct-to-DVD movie. But Disney decided it's so good that they released it in theaters. This movie had a theatrical release. And I know for a fact the second one has a theatrical release also because I watched it in the theaters. This is a Disney movie, and no one talks about it. This is from the same studio that gave you Wreck-It Ralph. Anyways, I literally have no closing thoughts about this.